What is up, guys? Welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to do a quick video on a tool upgrade, something that I have added to my miter saw and my table saw that has changed my life, and I want to share it with you guys. So, kind of basic premise is I put this on probably about a year and a half ago as I was doing all the renovations in my house, and I used this to do all the trim work, cut all my flooring, same with the table saw. So having this set up in kind of a permanent way has really been helpful for me. And what this does, this is a switch that I have that basically kills the power to this power station right here. So what I have on those two outlets is the little bucket head vacuum and then the saw itself. So I leave the switch on all the time for the bucket head vacuum, and then I have my miter saw. So whenever I flick this switch on, vacuum turns on. Sorry, headphone users, I apologize if that was loud. But turns that on. This energizes this outlet, which then also allows power to go to the miter saw. But if you see right now that switch is off, I can't use this, it won't run. So cover your ears again, I apologize, but just to show you, flick the switch on, and now my saw will run. In case you couldn't hear that, now my saw will run. So I think this is kind of a effective upgrade that you can make to your saw. I'm going to take this over to the bench top and show you guys how it actually works. But for those who aren't electrically inclined anyways, I'll show you how it works. And I think for the 25 bucks plus the $5 to the bucket, I know I got a Home Depot bucket head on top of a Lowe's bucket, but just got to do it because it's funny. The hose, everything's set up, and it really helps me manage dust. Obviously, you're going to have some overspray, but no matter what, you know, this helps kind of connect in through that natural funnel outlet right here and suck up most of the dust created from making cuts. So just a kind of an easy way, and there's no way to not turn it on because you will just have to turn this on naturally to get any power to the saw. And I'll just show you over here, same situation. I got kind of a bigger shop vac just because that's what I have able to dedicate to this, but I just leave the hose kind of plugged right into there. Obviously this isn't exposed right now, but same thing. Turn it on. So I flip that switch on, turn it off, and that would allow the saw to run as well. So let's take one of these over to the bench top. I'll break it open and show you guys how it works. And yeah. Okay, so basically what I got here is a 4x4 electrical box. I have this handy cover on here, and I had bought two of these. I think they were 3-foot whips, and I ended up just cutting off the end. So it was basically just an extension cord, short extension cord, and I just cut the end off and fished that through a strain reliever on the bottom. So basically these, oh, that's a little loose, but basically these just kind of help from this being yanked out. So you just kind of want to have one of those on your connection. If you want to do this better than I did, this is actually a 14 gauge wire. I would have rather had a 12 gauge, but at the time I think the cost was too much, or just I couldn't find any short length ones, and I wasn't going to cut up like a 15-foot extension cord just to make this. So that's what I did. I do have a 20 amp outlet on here. Doesn't really matter. I am pulling a lot of power through a smaller gauge wire, but it'll handle it and it'll do fine. I'm sure somebody that's electrically inclined as well will tell me I'm wrong down in the comments, but still, let's bust this thing open. And if you're a little bit intimidated by electrical, don't be. I actually personally believe it to be one of the easier trades to get into. There's a lot of codes and things you have to worry about. I'm not telling you to go wire your house all by yourself without even referencing any books or anything, but I do think in terms of terminating outlets and switches, it's not too terrible and something that most people can get into. So let's pop this open using a Wera number 2 screwdriver. If you aren't familiar with these are pretty cool. They got the laser etched tips on the end, and they bite screws just so well. So these boxes, and obviously I'm not an electrician, but I do deal with electricity every single day. So kind of what I got going on here is these 4 square boxes just have 2 tabs here. So even though this box has 4 holes, you're only able to screw into 2. I like these types of electrical boxes. They're just kind of handy and easy to use. So you can see coming through the bottom of the box, I have the power whip, and I put 2 zip ties on it just to make sure that it will never pull back through. The strain reliever was a little undersized for what I needed, but we do this all the time with our power packages at work, and it works just fine. I'm sure somebody again will have something to say about it, but you know, this is the way it's going to be. So what you're looking at here is the outlet, the back of the outlet. On one side, you have to terminate your power, and that power is being fed from one side of the switch. I'm considering plugging this in just to show you, and I'm sure someone's going to tell me I should have electrical taped this. You're right, but you know, this is professional homeowner type stuff. If you're a Wrangler Star fan, you know what that's about. This is how we do things. So outlet gets power here. The main power comes in following this black wire to the line side of the switch. When I flick the switch on, it makes a connection internally here, a mechanical connection, that then passes that power from where it's coming in on this black wire up to this wire and follows it over to the outlet. With that switch off, that mechanical connection does not exist, and you don't have power flowing to this wire. So basically your power just kind of stops here. I just put a ground reference on here so it'll follow back and follow all the way out to the outlet, and it works just fine. So I also just want to kind of mention I did put a magnet on here, and if you are going to do what I did and put it on your saw stand, that is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to have a magnet. This is just a leftover magnet from work. You can find them probably at Harbor Freight or anywhere else cheap. So you can see, let me just go through that one more time. Power comes in on the electrical cord. Black in residential is 99% of the time going to be your hot wire. I don't know what else you'd see, maybe a red. But black will come in with the power. So your 120 volts here. With this switch closed, no power is being passed between. As soon as you flick the switch up, it makes a mechanical connection, passes electricity from your line side, or this power coming in, to your load side over to the outlet, and now your outlet is energized, thus powering your vacuum and saw. That's kind of my short story here. If you guys want to see anything more about little shop tips I have, please let me know down in the comments. And if you have not already, subscribe. I was all into this project for maybe, I'll say everything you see here is probably $20, $25. That even might be too much. Just all depends on what kind of cord you put on it, strain reliever, everything else, and you don't have to use a 20 amp outlet. I just did. Also, I guess it's important to note, sorry that I just kind of started on the video and didn't. I like to put my ground plugs up. Most people in shops do this for a number of reasons. One of them, so we're plugging into ourselves, so this is completely safe, but if a piece of metal was to fall on this, so let's say your power cord started to pull out, if a piece of metal was to fall on this, you would actually be causing a direct short if this was the other way. So if we just all kind of imagine this, if something was to fall here, that would be connecting your ground, or your neutral right to your power source. So you don't want that, so that's number one. So things get moved and pulled around in a shop. It's nice to have that ground pin up for that reason. I also like it because if something's going to break off my extension cord, I want it to be the ground. I want my extension cord to still work, so I like to have that ground pin up for that reason, so that if something is straining on this, all that weight is getting put on that ground pin. You don't really see these happen very often, but if something is to bust off, I'd rather have that weight of that cord getting tugged on or pulled down on that ground pin. Just something to think about as you're installing this yourself. If you thought this was helpful, let me know. Subscribe if you're not already. I'll see you guys in the next video.